Hello, and welcome back to our discussion on activity lifecycle and more specifically persisting the UI state. So far we have seen lifecycle states and methods, on create, on pause, on start, etc. User expectations and activity behavior, that is what a user expects when he or she say sends the activity to the background by going to the home button or rotating the device or opening a new activity or answering to a notification and so on. We have also talked about the alternate, creating alternate layouts for different orientations and um, how those alternate resources are plugged in when there is a configuration change like rotation to the device screen. Then we talked about persisting the UI state using a bundle. And in this video, we'll talk about persisting the UI state using a view model. So recommended reading, there is a lot of information associated with view models. You should start at the Saving UI State user guide and then the view model user guide on the Android official documentation. But there is also this wonderful blog about using view models to save the instance state or the UI state on Android developers blog. We have linked a couple of these blogs before as well, and they are a good resource to look at some quick examples as well as some new upcoming advanced techniques. Okay, so well, I mean, we use the bundle. We are able to persist the UI state across device rotation as well as over process death. So the question is, why do we need something else? And the thing is, bundles are very restrictive. They have limited capabilities. Primarily, the data they can store and carry must be serializable. Um, so it works only with integers, other primitive types, and then things like strings and arrays of these primitive types or strings. And serialization is a good technique. It basically simplifies transmitting data as bytes, and that is the reason why it only works with these inbuilt types to begin with. You can of course have your own data that is serializable by implementing a specific interface in Java. But then for complex data, serializing its components for a class, serializing its components, it takes time and resources. And um, in the context of Android particularly, when you say you're rotating a device and then you're passing on the data to the bundle, serializing it, then putting it on the bundle, and then again load it and deserialize it, that is going to slow down the whole process. In addition to that, many real-world apps, most of the ones you are using, they are using a complex data, which is definitely not just primitives and strings and arrays of primitives and strings, but uh, pictures, images, maybe sound bites, sound files, or more bigger, more complex data. And there is also this step of loading it from a server. Um, Many times, not always, but yeah, you would load it from the server. So creating a connection, getting the data, then stopping the connection at appropriate time and all that. And if there is the rotation complexity or device configuration change complexity added to that, then all of this, network connection and all will have to be cleaned up every time. Um, so the activities, as we have discussed so far, are the controllers of the MVC pattern, and they should not be really burdened with loading data or handling data. It's just a bad design. So, in addition to these slowdown effects, there are problems with code maintenance if we do too much in the activity itself, and bundle restricts you to do things in activity because there are activity lifecycle methods that the bundle works with. So Android people, they have come up with um, a, a new lifecycle aware component called Viewmodel. This is available through the Android Jetpack library. Newer components, newer features that Google is pushing for since last few updates. Um, so we'll be looking at Viewmodel, and we'll be using Viewmodel as the default way of handling things, and we'll compare the instance state bundle and Viewmodel at the end of this presentation. Anyway, so the idea is Viewmodels are designed to manage the UI related data in your app. That is the reason why they were created. And they are responsible for preparing the data that the UI is associated with. So for simple apps like ours as of now, the view model itself can serve as a model, but later there can be a different model that each UI's view model serves through the view model. Okay, or a particular version of that model is served through the view model. So view model, as the name suggests, is tightly connected conceptually, as well as actually in code, with the UI. So you can quickly move around or get data, pass data to and fro from the view and the model here. Of course, the view itself, that is the layout files, are not going to deal with it. It will still be done through the controller, that is the activity class, as we have discussed in the context of MVC. So that principle still continues. And the advantage of view models is the view model objects, they are retained throughout the configuration change or across the configuration change, and they are available as it is to the next instance of the activity. This last bullet point on the slide is the crux of what a view model is. Okay, the idea that they do not crash when the activity is destroyed because of rotation, for example. Okay, that's the whole idea here. So then you'll still have the existing instance of the balance and the dice value as we have in our example, and you can simply continue to pull it and use it from that point onwards. Okay, all right. So I'm going to do some live coding in this presentation today. The slides have all the information that you need for making changes, so you can use that as a reference later. But at this point, I'll switch to the Android Studio. So the code I have here is the version at the end of our previous presentation. There may be some small changes here and there, but basically this is a version of code which can restore the UI state through the bundle. Okay, so for example, you have the if save instance is not null here, and you also have the overloaded on save instance state method, which saves the balance, and then in the on create we restore the balance, as we have seen before. All right, so first thing you need to do is add a dependency for using Viewmodel to the Gradle file. Okay, so we go to build.gradle in the app module. This is a dialog box coming through Command E on Mac, similar shortcuts on other machines we have discussed. Okay, so inside the dependencies block, you see all these implementation methods, right? So somewhere there, you can add implementation and then Android X dot lifecycle colon lifecycle hyphen view model and 2.2.0. We could achieve this even by adding a view model and then IDE prompting us, but this is how you can manually do it as well, right? So when you do this, you have perhaps observed there is this new sort of a pop-up on the toolbar which says Gradle files have changed since the last project sync. A project sync may be necessary for the IDE to work properly. What it basically means is you have added new dependency or something like that, and now you should sync your project so the IDE knows what things it will have to compile when it does. While we are looking at it, I'm also observing some suggestions here, warnings here. Basically looks like there is a new version of some of the dependencies. So we'll go ahead and update those as well. Okay. So Alt Enter brings up this quick fix box, and then I choose change to the newer version. Okay, all right. Okay, so then I'll hit the sync now button. For some reasons, if you don't see this button here, after making any changes to your Gradle file, you should go to File and where is it? Sync. Da, da, da. Always a problem with live demo. Yeah, sorry, it's here. Sync project with Gradle files. Okay, these both of them will do the same thing. And you'll perhaps see the Gradle running on the status bar here. Yeah, and it's done. Okay, so now our project is ready for using the view model. All right. Okay. So what we included here 2.2.0 is the current latest version, but they would update versions regularly, as we just saw with constraint layout and so on, and those can be so IDE will prompt you and you can update those or look up the official documentation and update those. Okay. All right. So when we are going to implement the view model, the point is all the data manipulation should happen outside the activity in the view model class. Okay, so from our current wallet activity, we'll basically move the die and the balance, and any constants that are associated with that, and all the manipulation of that. For example, when the die rolls 6, increment the balance by 5 and such thing, right? We'll move all of that outside of the activity class and into the view model class. Okay, all right. So to get there, click on the dice games package. You can then do a file new and Java class, or you can do a shortcut like Command N on Mac, and then find the Java class here. By the way, you can also later add an activity and search from here. So this shortcut is very useful. We'll add an activity in the next module of our discussion soon. Okay, so I'm going to add a Java class, and I'm going to name it wallet view model. So wallet activity and wallet view model. All right, so it's asking me to add it to Git. Yes, I'll add that. And then this class should extend a view model. Right. Okay, and it imported the appropriate component from Android X lifecycle libraries. Okay, so as I said, we'll move. We won't really need the key balance and key die value strings now, so we'll remove those, and we'll take the constants, put them here. Okay. We'll take the balance and balance int and the die, not the die button, and we'll move them there as well. And then all the manipulation should happen there. So let's move this out. For now, we won't use the savedInstanceState at all. So I'm commenting that out, both of those, restore and save a piece of code, and then removing the die. Okay, we'll come and fix this on click later. So we have other lifecycle methods in there still. Okay, over here, we have the win value and increment. We'll also add a string final string tag for recording things on log later on logcat, and then we'll add a constructor. Okay. wallet view model constructor we are adding here. And what do you want to do there? Well, we can simply set the balance to 0 and the die to a new die6. Okay, so when this is created, this is what you get. Next, what do we want to do on the view model? So see, all the computation should happen here, which basically means we should be able to get the balance, roll the die, and get the value of the die. Okay, so we'll start adding those setters and getters over here. So again, you can simply do inside the code. You can do Command N, and it will give you getters and setters. We don't really need all of them. We need getters and setters for the balance. So let's get them created. I like to name them like these. Instead of saying get balance, just say balance. That should return it, but yeah, set balance is fine. And then I want a getter for the die value, but let me manually put it in. So public int die value. Okay, and it should just return mdie dot value. Now the final thing is rolling the die and simulating what should happen when the die is rolled. So this will be a method on the view model, which will be called by the activity. So basically, we'll move most of this code, or rather all of this code over there. So let me just cut it out and paste it here. Okay, so yeah, we roll the die and show what the die value is. Then of course we don't want to set it over here, so I'll remove that line. If it is if the value matches the win value, then we increment and log that, but don't do anything else here, right? Okay, so this is good. This is what we want so far. All right. The only other thing now is adding a lifecycle method for the view model. So just like we have on create, on stop, etc. on the activities, you have some other methods. Well, only one method on the view model, and it is called the on cleared. So you start typing and it gives you suggestion, and it will fill it up for you. We don't really want to do anything here, but we'll use it for logging. So we'll know when the view model instance is created or rather destroyed or not destroyed. Okay, so our view model is ready. Okay, we'll pause this video here and we'll see how to use it in the wallet activity in the next video.